You're listening to the Overcome Pornography for Good podcast, episode 256.
Welcome to the Overcome Pornography for Good podcast, where we take a research-based, trauma-informed, and results-focused approach to quitting porn. This approach has been revolutionary and changed thousands and thousands of lives. I'm your host, Sarah Brewer.
Welcome back to the podcast episode this week. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is so important, especially with the holidays literally right around the corner, which I'm so excited for, and I hope you are too. It's how we can continue to learn and grow and apply the things that we have learned even through the holidays. Because, let's face it, this time of year can bring a lot of travel for some, maybe a different family dynamic that you're not so used to, stress. It can disrupt routines that you've been consistently working on for the last however long, and emotional triggers that can bring some discomfort, right? Now, it's important to stay committed over the holidays and understand that overcoming pornography does not have to take a back seat, right? The holidays, it's not a setback. It's not this thing that's bound to happen, but instead a great opportunity to practice the skills that you've been learning here at the center or on the podcast. Now, the holidays disrupt our normal schedules and our normal systems, right? The environment changes, like I said, the schedule changes, maybe alone time increases or decreases. Emotional triggers get a little bit louder. There's a lot more stress just because it's the holidays. Expectations of certain traditions that need to be upheld, or old family patterns that are coming up again. Now, just because you are feeling these things and things may be getting a little more difficult around the holidays, obviously there's a lot of good with the holidays, I'm hoping for you. But even though emotionally it can get a little bit harder or a little bit heavier, that does not mean that you are failing, okay? Hard does not mean that you're doing anything wrong, but it means that you're doing something normal. It means that you're working through something that a lot of other people are working through as well. So don't look at it as I'm different because I'm feeling a certain way. Look at it as I'm doing the work. I'm working hard and I'm still learning to overcome pornography, even through the holidays. This is the part of the process where your tools actually get tested. These tools that you've been working on here on the podcast roadmap that we have available, calls, whatever you're working on, the tools that you're learning are going to start to get tested here. And it's a perfect playground to learn. And in turn, these things honestly can allow you to grow deeper and create a more long-lasting effect when you are put into a higher pressure or higher emotional intensity environment, okay? Now, there's a few mindset shifts that must be made in order to make a difference throughout the holidays. Now, I'm going to rattle off a few of them. I hope some of them kind of resonate with you. But this first one is the holiday hard, it's normal, okay? Like I said before, it's not a personal thing. Now, your urges might increase, just like your emotional state might increase or decrease, depending on how the holidays go for you. But none of that means the program or the podcast or the work that you've been putting in means nothing. Okay, it means that your brain is responding to an unusual circumstance. Okay, so it's so normal. The second thing is you don't need a perfect month with zero urges. Okay, commitment doesn't look like zero urges throughout a month or throughout a week. Commitment looks like showing up when an urge does show up, using the tools on the urge that shows up, and managing your mind even if it's quote imperfect, right? Just because you have an urge does not mean that you are imperfect, okay? Now, this last thing here is it's okay if your routine looks a little bit different throughout the holidays, okay? Maybe instead of you working on a podcast or listening to the program or whatever for 20 minutes a day, maybe that drops to 5 minutes a day, and that's totally fine. Or maybe a full worksheet in the program may drop to a little thought download, or maybe a podcast episode may listen to, every once in a while throughout the holidays instead of every day. You don't lose progress by adapting to a certain circumstance around the holidays. You lose progress by quitting when the circumstance arises. So your goal is not perfection. It's not, I'm never going to have an urge throughout the holidays, and if I do, I'm going to throw in the towel. It's consistency, okay? Now, something that can be really, really helpful throughout the holidays, and something that really helped me, are a few tools that can help your thought download. It can help you go about your day on a good note, okay? Now, the first one is a 2-minute breathing exercise, right? These are super simple. They're super awesome. We have a ton of podcast episodes about it. Another one is writing down the daily model, which is something I call it the daily model. It's called the CTFAR. I released a podcast about that as well a couple months ago. You could check that out if that's something that interests you. A quick urge awareness check just to see, okay, if I'm having an urge, what does that look like? Or a grounding tool that resonates with you. Now, it's not like these ones that I listed are the only ones out there, right? Whatever resonates with you, do that thing, right? Just make sure that you, in a way, in your back pocket, you have a couple things that you could do. Now, the second tool that can be really helpful is expecting the urges or preparing for the urges ahead of time, okay? We're not here to fear urges. We're here to expect them and plan for them, especially through the holidays, right? When you expect an urge, you stop interpreting them as an emergency and you start to plan them and say, okay, this is going to come up. What can I do to help me? Okay. And you kind of say to yourself, urges are going to come up and I already know what I'm going to do with them. Okay. Just preparing ahead of time. I talk a lot about this with my clients on the connection call that I have in the program of, hey, if we prepare for something, it's just going to get better, right? But if we don't prepare for anything and then it comes up, it can be a little scary and we can treat it like an emergency. Another tool that can be really helpful is starting the day off on a good note, okay? And that's something that is in your control, okay? Something like, quote, I can stay committed to myself even during the busy season, or I honor my long-term well-being today, or I know that I can go about my day processing urges, right? Things like that can be really, really helpful. And that's a thought that you can control. If you start your day off like that, I promise you, it's just going to be a little bit better. Another tool that can be helpful is use the holiday red flags as data, okay? Now what that looks like is noticing an increase of stress, loneliness, boredom, or tension, and telling yourself that those are not problems, okay? That's information on what we can do and how we are going to respond is what's important. The last tool that I want to give you guys today is to give yourself compassion. Understand yourself, validate your feelings instead of just pushing it along and avoiding it. Compassion sounds like I'm human, this is a part of me, and I can stay committed to this, instead of throwing in the towel and saying, I'll restart in January. Now, what success really does look like during the holidays is not an urge-free season. Success is using the tools during the most stressful part of the season, okay? Using your tools that you've learned throughout the holidays is huge and can be difficult, but is huge. It's noticing your brain, noticing your emotions, staying engaged with your belief plan, staying engaged with your feelings. It's catching yourself sooner when sabotage thoughts come up. When you start to kind of self-sabotage a little bit, how can we catch that before we really dive deep into that? It's choosing well-being over false pleasure, even when it's inconvenient. Over the holidays, a lot of emotions rise, stress rises a little bit. And that can bring a little bit of discomfort and inconvenience to what you've been preparing or what you've been doing the last 6-10 months or whatever, right? Even if you stay 70% consistent during the holidays, I promise you, your momentum will continue to grow and you will feel like a new person stepping into the new year. I promise, okay? Last thing I want to touch on with you guys, so excited you guys are here listening. The holidays are so wonderful. Keep listening, keep working hard. Have a happy holiday. We'll see you at the new year.
I want to invite you to come and listen to my free class, How to Overcome Pornography for Good Without Using Willpower. We talk about how to stop giving into urges without pure willpower or relying on phone filters so that you can actually stop wanting pornography. We talk about how to stop giving up after a few weeks or months, and spoiler alert, the answer isn't have more willpower. And then lastly, we talk about how to make a life without porn easily sustainable and permanent. If you're trying to quit porn, this class is a game changer. So you can go and sign up at sarahbrewer.com/masterclass, and it is totally free.